Why is it that the oldest child grows up with the strict rules, but the younger ones get away with everything? Like my little brother. He didn't have to be home until he wanted to be home. Me, on the other hand, I had to be home as soon as the street lights came on. Shouldn't everyone get the same treatment? AT&T gets this, and that's why they've been giving all of their customers, both new and existing, the same great deals, no matter who came first. Whether you've been with AT&T for years or are just starting to think about switching, visit att.com/best deals to learn more. Restrictions and exceptions may apply. Hey, true crime fans. We know you're always looking for your next deep dive, and Peacock's got tons of chilling series ready to binge. Explore nonstop true stories from the True Crime Original with Dateline 24/7 on Peacock channels. Plus, catch full seasons of classics like Snapped, Buried in the Backyard, and more. And check out Peacock Originals you can't find anywhere else. Stream docuseries like John Wayne Gacy, Devil in Disguise, and Epstein's Shadow, Ghislaine Maxwell. Also, don't miss Dr. Death, based on the true story of Dr. Christopher Dunch. Fuel your true crime obsession on Peacock. Go to peacocktv.com to get started.
Coming with jams on Love Lounge, baby. You better catch it when you can. Dropping knowledge from fatherhood to politics, shouting out comics, just paying homage. What's up, Tiff? Yeah, you know she ready. Chi-Town zone, speaking to the grown and sexy. We gon' laugh, cut up and kick it, and at the end we leaving with gems to lift your spirits, make you wanna revisit. Tell your friends, take a listen. Young folks say it's lit, old folks say we dig it. Hey, can't no bitch do what you do. Can't no bitch do what you do. Can't no bitch do what I do. Can't no bitch do what you do. Laugh and learn with Flame Monroe. He, she, we. He, she, we. He, she, we. He, she, we. Laugh and learn with Flame Monroe. He, she, we. He, she, we. He, she, we. He, she, we.
So tell everybody, where are you right now? Why are you not with me?
I am in Orlando, Florida for the pageant. Was here to support our girl Fantasia tonight for the pageant for the win. Hey, so we'll see how that goes.
Yes.
And and I'm coming home tomorrow. So yeah, and I've been looking like the masked singer since I've been here. Y'all. And guess what's going to the pageant with me tonight? Guess what I'm taking?
Lysol. Right. We knew that. Exactly. Period.
Don't get close because you might get sprayed.
Well, we do want to take this opportunity to officially welcome everybody to Laugh and Learn. Like we said, things are a little different today. Flame's not here. I'm by myself, and we've got to go live from our respective social medias to make this episode happen, but we're going to make it work. So I'm going to take this opportunity to bring in our other co-host, Mr. Nick Smith. Hi, Nick.
Hey, that's what we do. We make it work. I'm trying to make sure I'm in the right spot. Am I okay, Lauren?
Yeah, you look good. I'm on my phone. I'm not even on the iPad because we had issues with it. So we making it work.
We're making it work. That's what we do. You know, it's almost like Mother Voucher has left and now we have keys to the house that we can just run wild.
Right. I snuck in. Well, actually, the kids let me in. So the kids let me in the house. So I'm here.
So I have to say, this is very different. I don't know. It's just funny seeing. You've gotten smaller. See the screen. You're on a smaller screen now. Will we still get the same personality?
Are we having weight issues here? What do you mean by it? I hear underlying. Is this about weight? Why must we always start at the weight? So if you guys do not know, if you follow me regularly, Let me put it like this. I identify as Laugh and Learn today, but I'm feeling quite Love Lounge-ish. Okay?
Listen, them eyes is telling the story for you, so you don't even have to say anything.
Absolutely.
I identify as Love Lounge-ish.
Love Lounge-ish. That's all right. That's all right. Make sure you tell our girl what's up, and we appreciate her, and we're sending her support from across the miles. You know, we had a lot of things we were talking about this week. I think we should just go ahead and jump on in and get started there, right? Happy Monday. You know, one of the things we always do is we start off with things that have kind of like impacted us this week or whatever. And I sent you all this earlier because I think I want to give a shout out to Kim Janey. Kim Janey, for those who may or may not know, is now like the first African-American woman to be mayor for the city of Boston. So that is just huge. I just thought that was fantastic.
Black girl magic. We are taking over.
She didn't win it, but she was moved into that position. It don't matter how we get there, as long as we get there.
Exactly. Representation matters.
Mm-hmm. Black girl magic matters. Let's talk about that.
I know all about that. Every time. Oh, this ain't that show. Okay. This ain't that show. Bad flame, bad flame.
See, there's nobody there, Flame, to touch you to see if you smell good because we don't know how you smell today.
I gotta touch you virtually.
I'm touching you.
Listen, before we go move on to all this drama we got going on in this country, I want to say I hope you guys had a chance to watch the Tina Turner documentary over this weekend. It was so fantastic and so moving. And when I tell you that Miss Tina is living like the grand queen that she is, oh my God, her home is beautiful. The story got beautiful even through all the. Y'all gotta watch it. It was very entertaining. And then a fat, pretty bitch put up some Tina pictures. That would be me. Yeah, y'all gotta watch it.
And I will say those pictures look quite lovely. Those pictures, if you all are wondering what Flame is talking about, they're on her IG page. So take a look at those pictures when you get a chance, and you'll see Tina in various forms.
Did you watch it, Lauren? Did you like it?
I love the documentary. I learned some new things about Miss Tina Turner. I definitely recommend everybody go and watch it. The thing that kind of shocked me the most, though, I'm going to just say this, is when her son Craig said that Ike threw scalding hot coffee on her and gave her third-degree burns. Listen, I'd have gone to jail for murder. But anyway.
That was a different time, though, Lauren. I'm telling you, women... not that it was more accepted, but it was like almost like commonplace, and women just dealt with it. And you know, we say this now because of the whole women's liberation, but it was just back then. It was just, and then you don't say nothing, even when you knew what was going on. You just kind of push it up under the rug. It's jacked up, but now it's too over. Everybody got a Me Too movement. Somebody to touch me inappropriate shit. Well, I invited it, so. Oh, bad flame! I told you I'm
Yes, you are. You know, it shows you again how times have changed. It's funny you would say that, Lauren, because the show Mad Men, there was a character who he was this, suave, the lead character, whatever. And I remember saying to my mom, because he ended up marrying this girl who was so young and attractive, and I'm like, I just don't get that. She's like, what? I said, why would she marry him? He's like, divorced, and she's young and attractive. She has the world in front of her. She's like, well, Nick, women did that then. He was considered a good catch. You did things like that then. Women weren't always wanting to lead their own way and be their own person. They wanted to attach to something like Draper, Don Draper, or something like that. He was supposed to be a good catch, and I'm like, the way he treats, wow, okay, but there you go. So
listen, that though I can understand though, because marriage, yes, I feel like the love comes secondary. Marriage is a business contract first and foremost. If you want to get married, that's a business contract. So that, Nick, I understand that. It was the abuse. I just, but like Flame said, maybe it was a different time. Women are more liberated now, and we're more outspoken. But listen, that scalding hot pot of coffee,
that wasn't happening. That wasn't happening with Lauren. They so notice.
You can see the bruise on one. I think it's on her right, or maybe her right arm. You can see the actual bruise on her arm because she showed it. Y'all gotta watch the documentary. I love the fact that Tina is still alive, and we heard these words from Tina. It wasn't somebody telling her story after she had passed on. I wish more people of a certain age, would start telling their own stories because it reads better to me.
Flame, I'm glad you said that because that's the same thing. You know, you and I both like Diana. I would love for Miss Ross to tell her own story. We've read a lot of things about Miss Ross. I would love for her to tell her own story about, is it true that, you know, people couldn't look her in the eye and things like that. Like, I can't believe that's who she is. But I do believe that, like Aretha, like you and I talked about, Flame, she knew who she was. She knew the power she brought into the room and probably demanded that respect from you. Like, you're not just going to, yo, Diana. No, wait a minute. You will say Miss Ross. You know, that type of thing.
That's just Detroit, baby. Detroit gangster like that. D-Town in the house. D-Town. So let me tell y'all, I'm having a good vacation. Of course, I'm in a hotel room. I turn on the TV. I turn on the news. What's on the headlines today? Two things. One is we're gonna get serious about for real, but the first one was about this whole Fauci Birch shit coming out after the fact. I said from jump, don't throw the rock and hide your hand. When you are in a position to say something, to save some people, you should have said something. I don't want to know 500,000 deaths later. I don't. Keep it to you. That was just lip service. I ain't buying it.
Yeah. That's a touchy subject for sure, though. But I think in a lot of ways, a lot of people are going to find fault with Dr. Fauci and Deborah Birx for the simple fact that they felt like they knew they had the information and they didn't correct Trump. But we've talked about this on this show, too. When it came to Trump, you know, he had a lot of blackmail on people and different things to, you know, whatever the situation was as to why people chose not to speak out against him. So I think that's probably something that's going to follow them the rest of their career at this point, is people are just going to feel like they didn't share enough information and they knew better.
I think two things with that, Lauren. I think Fauci, once again, has an opportunity to rewrite his narrative because he's still in it. Make sense? And he led the nation through the whole AIDS pandemic. So he has like equity built in.
No, he didn't lead the nation through it. He was the one who was pushing ADT, killing them.
I was right there with you, Nick. Oh, I was there with you.
If you'll remember, he was also the only one who would meet with ACT UP. You know, like they were trying to get an audience, and so he was trying anything that they could. But I didn't want
again. He did meet with ACT UP, Nick. After how many deaths?
Yeah.
After how many times beating people? It's still the same bullshit. Nothing has changed.
Yeah.
Just his paycheck.
I will say this, Nick. Being that I do work for an AIDS organization, a lot of people that I work with are not fans of Fauci who were entrenched in the AIDS movement, because it's to like what Flame has said.
On the ground in the beginning. Yeah.
But they're still not a fan of him to this day because of what he did around the AIDS movement, especially the AIDS pandemic, in terms of, you know, providing accurate information and AZT and all these different things. So Flame is right. That's all I'm going to say in terms of a lot of AIDS activists aren't friends or aren't fond of Dr. Fauci. I'll say that. So
I'm going to go ahead and jump on there. Flame said, you know, we were talking about Dr. Birx and Fauci, of course, but Flame, you've often said this too. Every time you say something, somebody else comes right behind it and kind of echoes what you said. And you say, there's not heck wrong with me. I just look like this, right? So
ain't shit wrong with me. I just look like this. Can y'all see me? I got good light, because ain't shit wrong with me. I just look like this. So this man be working. Sometimes it don't be working when it's supposed to, but it always works. And I don't forget shit. Ask Nicholas.
You were also never a fan of Jerome Adams. So Jerome Adams tweeted this morning, fascinating to see zero support for Dr. Birx, the lone female doc in the room, even among women. Soledad O'Brien immediately jumped on him and said, leadership was tested in this pandemic, and many, many people failed. It does not take courage to give support to a lying narcissist. This is BS, and you know it. Goodbye, Dr. Adams. And I said, Flame, did you write that and tell someone?
Baby, let me tell you something. My judging character sometimes be a little off. I think it'd be high. For the most part, I can tell it. I've been around too many hustlers. I know it. You can smell it. I'm telling you. And the obvious sometimes is right there in our face. We just have to open our eyes and see it. Well, guys, I just came back. There's no trust for me there. And I did trust the science on the whole vaccine, but I never trusted the politics. They made it political. Anywho, we don't get on that. So that was one of the things we were talking about. Number two, I turned on the news, and remember last week when I said sometimes I don't want to put things, invite them into my psyche, into my DNA. I hate to, I thought I had the feelings of watching George Floyd murdered in our eyes. I thought those feelings in me had subsided. And then I watched this morning, and it just like somebody just opened up the wound fresh and poured some fucking alcohol on it, and it hurt all over again. And the hypocrisy of them trying to push that he died for some already ongoing issues. I'm telling you, it's so scary and so crazy, and it's kind of unbelievable. Like, I can't believe I'm actually living in this. This sounds like some shit that they wrote in a book that somebody thought, but we actually living in it right now. It hurt. It just really did hurt me. It really scared me too, because I got teenagers that's driving.
Nick, go ahead. I want to hear your thoughts before I say anything. Go ahead.
No, Flame and I were kind of talking about this earlier, and we mentioned you earlier. I said, Flame, I think one of the reasons this resonates for us so much, because Lauren, you're much younger than we are, so
That's fine.
You weren't moving in this space when we watched Rodney King. We watched that play out, and it seemed like, and I know you know the history. That's not what I'm talking about as much as being there in the moment. So George Floyd, to me, it just seems like, I don't know. It's gut wrenching. People often use that term. I think rather loosely, but I don't know how to describe it other than what Flame said. It just pulls at you, like how anybody could see this and not be torn or affected by it. I just don't know.
Yeah, I've been watching the trial all morning, and I agree with both of you guys. I think to have to continually, I'm more so, my heart goes out to his family, because the fact that they have to keep reliving this experience of his death, his kids, his sister, like, it's just, I just don't have the words for it. It's going to be something that, it's going to stay with them forever. And I don't have the words for it. My heart goes out to them. I'm going to continue to pray for them. I hope that justice is served and we actually get a conviction.
Girl, you better stay along holding, because I'm sitting here seeing it in my head. I'm telling y'all now, if they don't sentence this man correctly, oh my God, just the aftermath of it all. Because I'm like you, Lauren. I didn't even have to have my glasses on to see a clear murder happening in my face.
Yeah, exactly. It's murder at the end of the day. And I think that it's very, it's degrading to the fact that they're trying to shift the narrative, like Flame said, to where, he died from pre-existing health conditions and a drug overdose, when that's not the case. It's also come out that he was actually being, forcefully knelt on for 9 minutes and 29 seconds and not the original 8 minutes and 46 seconds that we thought. And the fact that Derek Chauvin had his knee on his neck for an additional 5 minutes after he was even unconscious. So I hope that the system actually works in our favor for once. I also hope that if he is convicted, that he doesn't get an appeals process to the point where, he gets to be liberated or exonerated from his charges. And from what I'm reading too, there's some people on the police department, for instance, that are going to be testifying against Derek Chauvin. So I think that there's some hopeful glimpses of light in this trial. We'll see how it actually plays out. But I hope that justice is served. And, at the end of this, if riots do happen, I hope that, I hope that doesn't happen. Let me just say that I hope that we are able to come to a peaceful conclusion at the end of the day, because this family is hurting. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, and Lauren, and all of that, I think that's where I want to end with that his family is hurting, and we need to somehow have his death recognized as something that just cannot continue in its current the way these things are happening more often than not. And Lauren, I know we want to move on, but I think what bothered me so much with all of that is people were screaming at him, "Yo, dude, he can't breathe." People were watching you, and you just didn't care. You just didn't care. It was so, anyway, we've all seen it. So Flame, I'm sorry that you are there alone feeling this right now, because I definitely understand how difficult that can be,
I'm good. I ain't driving. I'm walking.
Well, I think this is a good segue too, Nick, because something good did end up happening in New York. I know may not be in order, but let's talk about qualified immunity, because one of our Flamettes actually just sounded off in the comments about qualified immunity. So let's bring that topic to light and what happened in New York City this past week.
Qualified immunity. We're talking about, you guys, New York City limits qualified immunity, making it easier to sue police for misconduct. And Lauren brought this subject up because we just felt like it was perfect for Laugh and Learn. We talk about these different things politicians all the time. Many like to confuse the language of defund the police and all of that, where we're talking about police reform and how activists believe that there has to be a change in the way policing is done. New York City Council passed legislation aimed at reforming the New York Police Department by making it easier to sue police officers for misconduct. The council last Thursday voted to limit qualified immunity, which became a focal point of the debate to reform policing across America last summer. Now, qualified immunity is defined as a decades-old legal doctrine that often shields police officers in cases of excessive force or unreasonable search and seizure. The newly passed legislation would allow victims of alleged police misconduct in New York City to bypass that and bring a case forward to be heard. So this is a big deal for people who have been fighting for this.
It's huge. It's huge. Flame, I can go ahead. I can hear
it. It ain't gonna work for me until they start snatching the pensions. They got to snatch the pensions. You start snatching the pensions, the police will take it more seriously about all that abuse and shit. They will, because you ain't gonna tell me I didn't put 20 years of my life on the line for this, and now I'm gonna take it all away because of a crime that somebody accused me of. I think the police force has to get more serious and start snatching the pension. And what for them to take it seriously? I'm glad that passed, but it's gonna take a minute for it to kick in. A minute meaning about 10, 15 years.
Yeah, Flem, you're right. That is that police pension and the union that is so strong, because I think one of the other issues around this, Lauren, you and I have talked about this. I can leave one district and go right up the street to another. So, yeah, those are things. Yeah, but go ahead.
My thing is, I think it's interesting that because historically, in a lot of senses, New York City Police Department has been one of the most racist and one of the most brutal, I think, in our country. And some may argue or disagree, but that's my opinion. My whole family, grew up in New York. So I have a lot of conversations with family members just about what police were like from, my great grandmother, she's 101. So imagine being born in 1920 and just seeing all of these different things transpire from generations and generations. So I say that to say, I find it interesting that they're the first city to actually, put this into some type of legislation and law. I'm glad that they've done that. And I think that hopefully this is a starting point for the reform that we're talking about, because we've said on this platform, I personally am not an advocate of the whole defund the police, because I think that we still need forms of police. I think it's more so we have to be able to teach and reallocate, For instance, there's people in London that have police officers that don't necessarily carry weapons, and they're able to, disarm suspects and these sort of things without having to kill anybody. So I think that this is a nice first step, especially considering it's New York City and they just have an historical background of just being brutal, especially when it comes to people of color. So I think it's a good first step.
Oh my God. I'm looking at the comments here, Nicholas and Lauren, and people still talking about the whole George Floyd thing. And baby, America, I think y'all owe us one. It's about that time. Don't y'all owe us one? Y'all ain't gave us one since OJ. And technically, y'all could have kept that one because we think the same thing y'all think. We just wanted to win.
Should we bring in a flamette or two, Lauren? Should we bring in a flamette?
Yeah, sure. Let's bring in a flamette.
People definitely want to sound off on that. Why is it that the oldest child grows up with the strict rules, but the younger ones get away with everything? There's no way you would have been allowed to do that. It's like your parents are playing favorites. My little brother has always been my parents' favorite, the darling child of the family, and always made a priority. He always got exactly what he wanted, even if it meant I had to miss out on something. Classic example, family dinners. My favorite food, roasted chicken and potatoes. His favorite meal, homemade hamburgers. One guess as to the ratio of roasted chicken to homemade burgers on a weekly basis. Yep, totally uneven. Shouldn't everyone get the same treatment? AT&T gets this, and that's why they've been giving all of their customers, both new and existing, the same great deals. Yep, everyone gets the best deals on every smartphone, no playing favorites. Whether you've been with AT&T for years or are just starting to think about switching over, visit att.com/best deals to learn more. Restrictions and exceptions may apply. You know when you've been at your job for years and at your annual review, your boss gives your promotion to the new hire? And when you try to talk to your boss, he shuts you out? Same thing happened to me. Had a great project idea. We ended up losing that to a competitor. And everybody's like, what happened? Well, if you'd only listen, you'd know. Yep, same thing with my parents. My little brother has always been my parents' favorite, the darling child of the family, and always made a priority. He always got exactly what he wanted, even if it meant I had to miss out on something. Well, AT&T hears you. In fact, AT&T has made sure all of their customers now, both new and existing, get the same great deals. No matter if you've been with them since your first ringtone or are looking to jump now. At AT&T, everyone gets promoted to the best deal. Check out smartphone pricing for everyone at att.com/best deals. Restrictions and exceptions may apply. Hey, true crime fans, we know you're always looking for your next deep dive, and Peacock's got tons of chilling series ready to stream. With always-on channels, bingeable documentaries, and more, Peacock has the perfect pick anytime. Explore nonstop true stories from the True Crime Original with Dateline 24/7 on Peacock channels. Enjoy an endless stream of mysteries or sink your teeth into themed collections like The Killer Speaks and Twisted Motives. You can also catch full seasons of classics like Snapped, Buried in the Backyard, The First 48, and more. Plus, check out Peacock originals you can't find anywhere else. Stream docu-series like John Wayne Gacy, Devil in Disguise, and Epstein's Shadow, Ghislaine Maxwell. And don't miss Dr. Death and the accompanying unscripted documentary, Dr. Death, The Undoctored Story. Fuel your true crime obsession on Peacock. Go to peacocktv.com to get started.
Streaming only on Peacock.
What do you know about Dr. Dunch?
He was charming, intelligent.
My patients mean everything to me.
Based on the unbelievable true story.
I can't make sense of it.
Dunch has 2 deaths that we know of. The state of Texas has executed people for less.
It's like he knew what he was supposed to do, and he did the exact opposite.
Dr. Death, starring Joshua Jackson with Christian Slater and Alec Baldwin.
I am going to fix you.
All episodes streaming now, only on Peacock.
Hey, Cassie. Everybody else was not prepared.
Hi, Flame, you funny and you feeling it, that's for sure. Hi, Lauren. Hi, Nick. No, what I say is same with Flame. Hit them in the pocket. Hit them in the pocket. If we have to pay for the stuff that we do, like if I hit you, just like when you're in a car accident, it comes out of your insurance. I think police officers should have an insurance on themselves, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Just like when you are a like when you own your own business and you have to get your insurance, you know what I'm talking about? Sure. Okay. Yeah. Police officers should have to do the same thing. You should have to have your own insurance on you so that when you misbehave, it's coming out of your behind.
So like malpractice is what you're talking about, like with doctors, malpractice insurance of some kind.
Malpractice, but also not that. But like, when like you're a locksmith, you have to get
bonded, insured. Sure.
So something, I don't know if it's the same thing, but something like that. Being bonded and insured. Bonded and insured, yes. Bonded and insured. So when you mess up, it's coming out of your pocket. I agree with Flame that you hit them in the pocket. You're going to think twice before you pull that trigger. Or you're going to think twice before you do stupid crap. There's just so much stupid crap going on. And as soon as I seen that post about qualified immunity, I sent it to Governor Inslee in Washington State. I sent it to the mayor of the city of Kent, to the mayor of the city of Seattle. We need qualified immunity across the United States to end it because they need to pay for their misbehavior. They really do.
I agree with you, Cassie. I definitely agree with you.
That's my two cents.
And sometimes on earth, while we always gotta wait till they get to, you gonna get yours when you go to heaven, when you go. I'm like, I want to see it now. Shit.
I think the only challenge with that, Lauren Flame, what Cass talks about, which is a great idea, it all seems like retroactive or punitive after the fact, right? Like, I think our issue is we need training to change, right? Because we don't want it to get to this point. And I think that that's the problem, because I think that there are many situations where officers forget that they work for us. They work for the citizenry.
That's very true. Hello, Aya Ferris. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you, Lauren?
I'm good. So let us know what you're thinking about some of the topics we're going over. What are your thoughts?
I think the George Floyd thing is still a hard no. Like I can't even watch it. I didn't watch it the first time, and I don't ever want to see it. And as someone whose brother was killed by the police, it all just keeps on going. It's like something I've been dealing with since I was a kid, and it just hasn't stopped. And I really want to see some change for that. I mean, this little thing that they're doing in New York State is okay, but like Flame said, you got to hit them in their pockets. Like, and they can't get away with this. Like, they need to lose their pension plans. Shit, in many cases, I think they should lose their damn lives. Put their asses in that chair at this point because they're doing this on purpose. He knew what he was doing. There was a previous history between these two men. He was out for blood. He killed this man. And I'm sorry, if they don't convict him, it's going to burn down. It's going to burn down because we fed up. And I don't want to support violence, but like at this point, if y'all do this to us, you're never going to win. Like,
let me say something, and I hear, baby, when I tell you, I hear everything. When you it's like you whipping me with a whip, and I feel the stripes every time you speak it. Mm-hmm. But if we win, it's one victory. What is it going to change for us? I want us to win. Hear me. But we got to think long term. If we win, what is it going to change to make us do better by us? Not just them. Because if we win, the country going to erupt in victory and joy. If we lose, the country may possibly erupt in a whole different way. But if we do get this victory as black men in this country, what we going to do for us? Because we can't keep leaning on them to give and do for us. Yeah. So I don't want to sound like I'm against us. You know, I love my brothers. You know, I love black. But if we win the victory, we still got to say, okay, we got this victory. Now what else? Because this won't be nothing but one victory. What else? It has to be fair for everybody, not just for George Floyd. And I hope we win this. We won this because the evidence is right in our faces, clear. But if we win, then we just got one victory. We still got to keep pushing forward. We can't just get relaxed. That's my fear. We're going to get relaxed if we win. And then it's going to happen 50 more times until it's another big one. And then, you know, who's next? That's my fear. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
I just wish they could feel the pain that I feel right now because I live in Buffalo, which is kind of like the south of the north, unfortunately. And there's I just started driving because I moved here from Brooklyn. And I have so much anxiety when I'm driving because I'm just so afraid to get pulled over. Like, it's about to be 5 o'clock here, and I'm like, I got to get in the car. Like, I'm deadly afraid of, driving. And I have to now because I live in this city. And I don't want to sound like a punk, but it's a legit, I'm nervous. Like, you never know what can happen. That's my take.
Don't feel like you're a punk. That's just the reality, especially that black men have to deal with, black women as well. But that is a reality for you. So please don't ever say that you feel like a punk. That's something that you guys will always have to deal with mentally. And that's something that needs to be talked about. So please don't ever feel that way. I'll just say that first and foremost. And I will absolutely. And as well, I hear what you're saying too, Flame, in terms of us getting complacent. In terms of, let's say we get this victory with George Floyd and Derek Chauvin gets convicted. We don't want the country to get complacent. But I think that's where we step in and legislation needs to happen. You know, laws need to be created. So that's what I would say is probably for me, at this point in time, that's the only thing I can really think of is that we're going to have to push some legislation and some new laws forward. That's how we continue the fight, and that's how we continue to push forward. Those would be my initial thoughts to the comments that you just made.
Thank you. Well, thank you, guys. And Flame, you owe me a show.
I promise I'm going to make it up to you. I promise. Thank you.
Right,
thank you for the support, love.
Absolutely. Thank you. And this goes back to, you know, you guys, there's how is it that everyday people are nervous just to drive their own car in their own, you know, this is what I'm talking about. This is where things have gotten to.
I just be nervous to drive when my insurance expired, baby. Now you just nervous to drive because. But you remember the joke that I said on They Ready, which we just celebrated the 2-year anniversary, and I said the joke was, if I'm pulled over by the police, I'm more apt to say that I'm a trans woman than I am a black man because the way the wordage is, just the same 2 words different around, makes the whole temperature come down. Because if I say I'm a black man with titties, sounds offensive to them, I guess. as opposed to me saying I'm a trans woman. Maybe it sounds freakish. Whatever it is, it may be the difference for me between life and death. So I would rather say I was a trans woman. You know, I don't always play the training card, but bitch, I played at the police will be over. A trans woman!
Well, hey, I think that anytime we feel like we're in a fit of survival, you do whatever you can to survive the situation.
Absolutely.
You know, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Lauren, should we move on to the next topic there?
Yes, this is going to be a heavy show. I just want to pre-warn us. It's a heavy show, but these are topics that we have to discuss and that we would love insight on. I just feel like Laugh and Learn, the whole purpose is to provide a space so we can have these conversations, and sometimes they're going to be heavy and sometimes they're going to be lighthearted, but that's just the premise of this show. So I'll just say as a forewarning to you guys, we got heavy topics we're talking about today, so
back to the young man that we just had on the show. I agree with some of these comments. If you feel all that in your city, you really need to move, because you're never going to find happiness there, because you're going to always walk around in fear, and it's not good to live in fear. You should leave that town. Find another job. You're going to just have to make it. It'll work out somewhere else. It always does. It always does.
I think it's, go ahead, Lauren.
No. I was turning it over to you to see if you wanted to move on.
I was going to go ahead and move us in the direction. Lauren, we have like 3 other things, but I'm going to try to, I want to get on this and then we can get off. Because we brought up last week, we had talked about the hashtag Stop Asian Hate was trending. No sooner than we wrapped our show, Lauren, we had another mass shooting. Like literally, we have had this conversation before that there's always another story waiting in the media cycle to, I won't say eclipse the one before, but maybe shift focus. And I think that is what's happened with the most recent shooting du jour, right? And we were just talking about that one, the new mass shooting in Boulder, Colorado.
I think Vesper, I don't know if Vesper is here.
Say shooting du jour, Nicholas. You can't decorate a shooting. Did you just say, hold on, did you just say shooting du jour, Nicholas?
I wasn't trying to be, I didn't know.
You can't decorate a shooting, did you? Y'all get Nicholas. Nicholas, Loretta.
I just feel like we have one every day, you know?
Well, that's what I want to talk about, because I don't know if Vesper's on here, because I do want to bring him in at some point, because we are going to talk about what happened in Georgia later on too. But he said it last week. He was saying it's like these shootings were going to start, and it's almost like it was a prelude to what our week was going to be like. And it's crazy. The world is opening up again. You know, the cases are coming down in some states and some they're going up, i.e. Florida. But it just seems like there's a new shooting every day. Wait! Flame, wear your mask. You'll be fine.
You sure will.
But yeah, it just seems like there's a new shooting every day. I think last Wednesday or Thursday, I saw that there was like another 4 shootings in Atlanta. Yeah. There were 3 here in Los Angeles. And there's just shootings happening that aren't even being covered, because I guess it's not there's not many victims, but there's so many shootings happening every day, and it's just like enough is enough. Like what's going on? What's going on?
2 things. You just to touch on what you were saying, that what CNN did is they released just the number of shootings that have actually happened during 2020, but sometimes they just happen so often, and unfortunately they cited Flame in our hometown of Chicago. They say they just happen so much that it just doesn't stop the news cycle. So the mayor is not going to go out. Yeah, we have 14 people shot. What do you want to do? Because if we did that every day, I don't know that it becomes too much or it just becomes white noise. But the idea was there have been a number of shootings. The shootings continue to happen. There was another shooting in Philadelphia where like 8 or 14 people were shot. But again, it doesn't rise to the level of the supermarket thing, because it was more of a house party, and it's just part of the gun violence that happens. And so that's the deal. That maybe we need to take a new look at that.
But I think that's part of the problem too, though, is that because so many shootings are happening, it's like, we're going to normalize it. Yeah. People dying and people being shot is never something that should be normalized. And I feel like that's what's starting to happen. It's like, oh yeah, another shooting happened, but 10 people didn't die, so thank God for that. No, that should not be the case. Shootings should not be taking place right now. We need gun control. We need gun reform. ASAP, because we brought this up for the simple fact that the shooter in Atlanta was able to register and buy a gun the same day, but you can't even do that with voting.
Yeah.
Is absolutely ridiculous. So something's got to give. Something has got to give. It's unacceptable that we're just hearing about all these shootings and nobody's really flinching anymore.
I think it has become the norm. We were talking about this, Flame and I were talking about this also just after this happened. We both saw a soundbite, an interview with a young man who was about 20. And he just talked about how he saw his friend get shot, but knew he could not run to her and offer aid, or else he himself would have been shot. That he has not been in school since he's been in school where he has not had an active shooter drill. Like Flame and I talked about, I have no idea. What do you do with that, right? We did the earthquake thing where you got that, everybody in California does. You do the earthquake thing, you get under the table. That was the only drill we had, or maybe a fire drill every now and then. The idea that a classmate might come into the school or someone who isn't a classmate may come into the school and open fire, the kids now are so indoctrinated with what to do that it becomes second nature, that they know how to huddle, get quiet, lock the door, barricade. What are you talking about? So yeah, I feel like they've grown up with, your generation, Lauren, I think has grown up with the idea of school is not necessarily always a safe space.
Absolutely. I remember even when I was in high school, there was a bomb scare that a student was bringing a bomb to the school and was going to blow up our school because he was being bullied. And we didn't go to school for a week, because they had to make sure they had to do a bomb sweep. The dogs had to come up. And then ever since that happened, like my last 2 years of high school, we had random dogs come into our school where they had to. And I went to school in Torrance, California, for all you. That's the uppity place. I went to school, with a lot of white kids and a lot of Asian kids. So, and there was a small group of black kids at my high school, but it became routine. The dogs came to the school to do bomb sweeps, to do drug sweeps, to make sure that we were safe and we were okay. It just became a part of life. So I think that maybe my time in high school was the beginning of what we're really seeing now. Because my mom has said to me, if I was in high school right now, she was like, I would have homeschooled you. I wouldn't feel comfortable sending you to high school at this day and age. You would be homeschooled.
Flame, you remember when we were in school, the only scandal was maybe if somebody came up pregnant. That was literally the only thing that
we had those too. We had those too.
Look, that would be me. That would be me. Woo, that line right there, that one line right there. Let me put the head and have work for me and on me. Good God. Look, it is disheartening that these shootings are going on like this, and like y'all both said, honey, it's become commonplace. I don't know why these people are so angry. And some of it is racism. Some of it is just self-hate. Here's my thing. If you want to kill yourself, have at it. At home, not in your room. I'm not promoting that. I'm hoping you can talk somebody off. But why must you go out and kill 70 people? Innocent children and old ladies. People who live in their lives just at the grocery store, just at a gas station. Not even thinking about that. They don't know you. And maybe if you talk to them, you might change your mind, but you didn't, because you went out on a mission to just kill people to get what? Some notoriety for killing a bunch of innocent people. You know how many lives these people have affected? One death affects how many different people? So some people are loved by so many people. It's just fucked up, period. And you're right. They need to change the gun laws. And I'm sick of y'all telling about everybody who got these AK assault rifles got mental illness. They not fucking mental illness. They fucked up. They hate themselves. So they want to kill everybody because they hate themselves. Like, they must see themselves when they shoot these people. I believe that. They see themselves. Cuckoo patty ass. I said it. Shit.
And like you said, Flame, it affects other people. They were just talking about the residual effect. Like the one guy who happened to be an officer had like 7 kids. And they're saying that not only are those children affected, their friends now know them as, that's so-and-so. Their dad was the one killed. That they even start to treat them differently. That the effects are just a ripple effect for everyone involved. Absolutely.
And I'll just say this too. It's not even just the mass shootings. Yes, they're on the rise, but I don't know if you guys saw this story yesterday. 2 teenage girls, one 13 and 15, were arrested, I believe, in Maryland for a carjacking that went wrong. They tased an Uber driver because they tried to steal his car, and he ended up running into the side of like a building and he was killed. So it's just, I don't know what's going on in our country right now. It's just a lot of turmoil. It seems like 13 and 15, two girls tried to do a carjacking and ended up killing the Uber driver because they tased him with a stun gun, and he
lost control.
Go ahead, Nick.
That's almost my daughter's age, and here it is, Lauren and Nick. As a parent, you think to yourself, I think to myself, I don't know how they were raised as a parent. How much drama have they trauma have they been through in their young lives to give them enough energy or strength or the heart to pull off something like this? This ain't like stealing a piece of candy out the store, this ain't like, I'm push this off my shoulder, we gonna fight. This is some serious BS. What kind of shit have they been through in their young lives to make them have the courage to do some shit like this? That's where you started at the source.
We always hear people talk about generational trauma. That clearly, I'm with you on that one, Flame. Something has to be going on in the lives of those young women that this is something that they're doing. Carjacking that's pretty big,
At 13 and 15, absolutely. What?
Yeah. At 13, what was I doing? I was playing catch a girl, kiss a girl. I was always the girl, y'all, and I always got guys.
Well, hey, you kind of glossed over it, but I do want to say congratulations. Can I believe that was 2 years ago? They ready.
No.
Yay, they ready. Did y'all see that interview I did with Headcrack? We did that interview, Lauren, about a month ago.
February, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It's out now. Yeah, carjacking is, but I'm looking at the comments, and carjacking is serious business, but the reality is at 13, little girls thinking about little boys or whatever they're going through, not carjacking somebody. That is crazy. Like, damn, what has this child experienced to be able to have the nerve? Bitch, I'm 35, and I would never have the balls to do that. Well, I got balls, and I ain't 35. Let me don't even tell this whole lie. But I
was like, where are we going with this?
I still don't have the gumption to want to do something like that. That is like, wow. And 13, Lauren, I'm like, you 13?
13.
That's a baby.
Yeah.
Well,
She's
just to close on that, nothing in the federal system would have prevented the suspect, who we will not name because we don't want to glorify these people, from passing a background check and buying a firearm. And that goes back to what you said, Lauren, that we have to do something with some kind of reform. I don't know what the answer is, but we've got to have the conversation. And anytime we have a Senate that is divided like this, that won't even bring the issue to the floor, I feel like I'm with you, Flame. I don't know if Sandy Hook didn't do it, I really don't have much hope for anything after that, because I would think our most precious resource would have been the catalyst to invoke change.
And I just want to bring this up too. The crazy thing is we there's so many different instances. We can, go back in history to Columbine, all these different things. But the crazy thing is the shooting that happened in Atlanta was, I believe, the day before or the day after the anniversary of the Parkland shooting.
Wow. See?
Literally.
Yeah.
So it's just, something's got to be done. And I feel like on that note too, we can kind of segue into the next topic, which would honestly be Georgia. Let's talk about Georgia. We're talking about legislation reform. Let's talk about what happened in Georgia with Park Cannon.
Park Cannon. Georgia lawmaker says she is shaken but resolved following their arrest at the election bill signing. So what are we talking about? Representative Park Cannon, Democrat out of Georgia, was arrested for knocking on the door while Georgia Governor Brian Kemp signed a sweeping election bill to continue the fight of voting rights in Georgia. Cannon faces charges of obstructing law enforcement and disrupting a General Assembly after she repeatedly knocked on the door of Kemp's office as he held a private live stream of the bill signing. The 90-page bill adds new voting requirements for Georgia residents following the results of the 2020 election that flipped the traditionally red state blue.
Payback.
Oh, go ahead, Wayne.
Georgia's still on payback, Lauren, for you. I know that's because you lived there for a while. They still on payback. Y'all know they still mad at Georgia that Stacey Abrams trying to help flip Georgia blue. That's all payback shit. They playing dirty politics. That's all it is. But guess what? Democrats gonna have to get low. Shit, they're gonna have to play. You can't rise above in this situation because they don't think they're doing anything wrong. They're so used to doing it their way that they're not gonna see it no other way. Democrats gonna have to get low. Democrats gonna have to get grimy.
Well, more so to that, I just want to explain the depth of this bill signing, because 2022 is going to be a really, really big year in Georgia. Senator Warnock's seat is going to be up for re-election. Governor Kemp's seat is going to be up for re-election, and so is the mayor. So this bill that Brian Kemp signed was so important and is bringing so much attention for a myriad of reasons, because Georgia has some really important elections coming up in 2022. So I really hope, Stacey Abrams has done such a great job. I hope in a lot of ways she ends up running for governor again next year, because I think that her being in that position is going to be such a saving grace for us. Mayor Keisha Lance Bottom, like I said, her seat's going to be up. They don't know what's going to be happening in terms of the mayoral seat in Georgia. So this bill the timing of it is no surprise, because they knew what they were doing. And I'll just take it a step further, too, for the simple fact that when the bill was signed, it was signed in secret, like Nick said. There was all white men surrounding Brian Kemp. And what I did know, too, is in the photo that they took, there's an image or a painting behind them. And it's actually of, I think it's the Hamilton plantation. And that's so significant to the simple fact that y'all are signing this modern day Jim Crow bill to restrict voter access. Let's just call a spade. And you've got this plantation, this image, glorified image of a plantation where slaves were brutalized and murdered and everything else behind you, if this was just something so special. Yeah. So the subliminals around this whole situation are very telling as well. So. And also, Lauren, to piggyback that, no one wanted this. Like, here's the deal. If you talk to Georgia voters were polled, none of them wanted changes to the elections. And there are a couple of things that just stand out in particular. Like, an overwhelming majority of both Republican and Democratic voters saw no need for a change to the law, and in fact wanted more access where they could expand voting by mail, could expand earlier voting, could expand drop-off places. So these are all the things that have traditionally worked for the GOP that they have instead worked to cut back in an effort, many argue, to repress or suppress the black vote, particularly things like souls to the polls, where, for those who don't know, church leaders would, hey, everybody would board the bus after service on Sunday and go and vote as a group. They made it an activity that was fun and people were engaged in the political process. Well, they're cutting back on that. Some of these things seem specifically targeted. Another that I found just really interesting. Like, why would you do that? They're making it harder for people to actually stand in line. Lauren, you're standing in line and it's Georgia and maybe it's a little warm. I come to hand you a sandwich or a bottle of water. I am now breaking the law. It is illegal for me to give you water while standing in line to vote. And I can't sit there. Here, your mom is like, hey, Nick, hold me a spot. My mother's like, Nick, hold me a spot till I get there. I can't then step out and let her step into that spot. So you sit there, you ask, it seems almost punitive. Like, what was the motivation? The killer in this, though, they've also done this whole thing where now they can supersede the official in that position. So now Raffensperger has no say anymore. So now your secretary who has that role, who is trained in that role, and to Raffensperger's credit, he really did run like the clean. He didn't want the election to go that way either. Let's be clear. But it was an attack on his professionalism to say that it did not go the way that it should have. So now they have enacted new legislation that will allow them to come in and supersede what had been officiated by the secretary. Yep.
That's called spitting in our face with our mouth open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. And I think, Nick, to the question of what's the intention, I'll just say this. The intention is that Trump, in a lot of ways, I know we all hate Trump, but Trump honestly pulled the covers back on a lot of things. And that's one thing I will say that I'm grateful for him, because those closeted racists that were trying to hide, they've been brought to the forefront. The folks that really, the GOP, in a sense, the GOP is finally showing their true colors in terms of, we don't really care about the people. We just want our people to stay in office so we can keep pushing our own agenda. So I hope that we're all understanding and really focusing on what's happening in Georgia specifically, because they're the first state to enact this legislation. I'm sure they're not going to be the last. I'll just end on this note. I just think that I hope that we're all paying attention to what's happening, because it's history in the making, for sure.
Right.
So,
and we definitely need action on the federal level, because because the truth is, there are even Democratic states that could do a lot better, California, about expanding access to voting as well. There are places that are blue that could also do a little bit more about early voting, a little bit better about mail-in voting, absentee voting. It would be great if we had a federal system that allowed everyone who's legally eligible to vote to be able to vote and not put these hurdles in their way. Just that simple. Absolutely.
I don't know if California is one, though. We pretty wide open. I think we're more of the most open states. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nick. I think some other states could do a better job before California.
You are indeed. I'm just saying that I would like everybody to expand and do even better. Like wherever we are, I feel like we could do even better with it. It is still easier, I think, Lauren. It's easier for us in many cases to get a driver's license than it is to register and vote. It shouldn't be all these barriers. Like, come on, if Lauren can't make it, why can't she? Lauren, we can do almost everything else from our phone. You can bank from your phone and transfer funds. Why can't you register a vote from your phone?
Right. No, I hear you for sure.
So that's all I'm saying there. Why don't we go ahead and try to lift it a little bit, because I think two other topics that I want to make sure that we touch on. I do kind of want to hit on how Virginia has ended the death penalty. That's a switch for a southern.
They just had a big shooting in Virginia Beach.
They sure did.
Oh yeah. Oh, Virginia Beach is wild. Oh yeah. College town. So
I'm sorry, because I just completely went off topic. Yeah.
Oh, hey, that's how it goes. The death penalty ended sooner than expected in Virginia, and for some, not soon enough. What they have done is Virginia has decided that they are no longer going to do the death penalty. And this is one of those things that people feel like it's huge. And it is, because this is the governor in many ways saying that it should not be up to man to put man to death, that there has to be other ways that we can deal with our most violent offenders.
Man takes another man. A man takes another man's life. So is it up to him to do that? He made the choice. The murderer made the choice. Sometimes it was accidental, but the murderer made the choice. I used to think that I wasn't for the death penalty, but like for some shit, like when you fuck up a kid and you molest a kid, I don't want you to be able to relive that. I would rather know that you did. I don't want you to be able to lay in a cell for 25 years and relive the thought that you molested that kid and the joy that you got out of it, or whatever your sick man concocted while you was doing it. I don't want you to lay around and enjoy that. I want you out immediately. Some of these people stay on death row too long. Let me just say that shit. Some people be on death row for like 30 years, bitch. That's a whole lifetime to some people.
Absolutely.
Hey, what happened to the death row back in Selma days? What happened to burning at the cross?
Lauren, open this up to some of those flavors, because I know people would definitely. I'm seeing some of these comments.
Shit.
What were you saying, Lauren?
No, I'm kind of like Flame. I have some mixed feelings about the death penalty. I'm going to be honest, because I think one, it's been adversely geared towards, people of color who are, those that are on death row. But in some ways, I think that some crimes are very fitting for the death penalty, for sure. That's how I feel.
Governor Ralph Northam signed the bill last Wednesday banning the death penalty, making Virginia the first of the old Confederate states to do so. Over the past 400 years, Virginia has executed more prisoners than any other state. It is the second most prolific death penalty state of the modern era, only behind the great state of Tejas.
You know, I had to get you. You know, I had to get you, Miss TT Jan, because the topics were just heavy and we just need some knowledge today. So go ahead.
Yeah, everything seems to move really fast when it comes for the Black community to pay for it. And I think, generally speaking, if you remember that you have to self-motivate yourself constantly, locally, and you move further along, because when you vote locally, that's where you see the first benefits for your vote or something you support. You have to become active, and then you pass that on. The death penalty, now that we're seeing all these shootings, of course they're going to make it more attractive for these people to sit there at our expense. And they're killing, randomly. It puts a notch in their bedpost. All of a sudden, it's fashionable to really express your hatred. As close as we get to putting some type of boundaries on assault weapons, you have a whole movement that now they want you to believe they sleep with their guns. They like their kids, but they love their guns. And it just gets more complicit the more you think about it. And I was listening to some young Black men talk. They were like, I'm having trouble with this thing called God. I mean, how's he letting this plague stay over our heads? And the only words that I could give them is value yourself. Love yourself more than anybody can hate you. Never get caught up in what the fella's doing next to you. If you handle yourself like you about your business, that just makes them want to be you more. You know what I mean?
Other terminology, can't no bitch do what I do. Say it again to me.
Nobody. But I mean, everything about us is desired. You know what I mean? When somebody falls, they're looking for the Black woman to kiss it and make it better. Everybody emulates the Black woman, but they don't want any of the suffering that we go through. They just want to use us like an accessory. And until we put the value back in ourselves, at any level, love yourself, push yourself. Don't get caught up in generational curses or plagues on people, because you're lending yourself too much to negative energy. We just have to, as a people, as whatever you do every single day, push yourself. Always be about making yourself better. And that doesn't have to come with great rewards. If you go and ask a question on your child's behalf, you have exercised being a proactive parent. You have to change the narrative. And as simple as that, I'm sure the folks in Atlanta, if they're smart, I know Stacey had to know that there was going to be backlash. Kumo should have knew that there was going to be backlash. So you have to already have your soldiers in order. They already have to be marching to a beat. And that's with anything. Act like you happy on your job. People will come for you just being happy. Pull up in something new and you didn't tell everybody in the office you were getting ready to do that. Let them find out that your child is going to a private school. It doesn't take a lot to make people angry and this preconceived notion of what you should just want or have. Break out of that mode. You can have whatever you want as long as you pay for it. Quit seeing yourself at a level. You can have it. Push through. I don't give a damn about a plague. We have to push through. And it's as ugly for me having a very dark, full-figured son as it is for anybody. But all I can tell him is be about dressing up your resume and pushing forward.
Let me just say this. Miss TT Jan, you done dropped about 100 gems in all of what you just talked about right now. And this is why we appreciate you so much. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that was a myriad of gems that was just dropped.
I think it's all of us, and we're all looking for hope, Lauren. It's like as soon as we nudge a little bit, here we come with somebody extremely stupid to make us.
I know hope. You want me to call? Look, I know hope. You want me to call? You want her number? Oh, another hope.
But
I had to bring you back around, Jen, because I felt that rope-a-dope coming, baby. Woo!
do not get discouraged. Be encouraged and just keep pushing, And because they want us to feel like we're defeated. That's the reason they're scrambling. Yeah. Because if they think if they can create all this mass confusion, then they've gotten into our psyche to start letting us fight amongst ourselves and in our own brains. Whatever you're doing, keep doing. I'm not selling school, but if you go to school with a vengeance. If you're going to go to a trade school, go to trade school with a vengeance. If you're going to start a business with a vengeance. Quit worrying your money and invest your money. We can all do it. It's not anything, I didn't come for money, but my portfolio looks really good. So get your knowledge, keep pushing. That's what makes people, respect you. They don't want to respect you. They really don't. They feel better. They don't want to own racism, but they like the works of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They're quite comfortable with racism, but they don't want to own it. There's nothing new about the police department turning on peaceful protesters. There's nothing new about that. We've all heard about not driving in certain places when it gets dark. This is absolutely nothing new. But now all of a sudden, because we say, wait a minute, Black Lives Matter, what are they talking about? My life matters. Well, you know what? We mattered when you brought us over on ships. If everybody's life mattered.
Miss TT
Can I just say that was the only cruise I was ever on.
That's the one that I wasn't on, but I'm paying the first class tax for it.
That was no, y'all missed that whole joke. That went all over y'all here. They brought us over here on ships. Oh yeah. Oh, okay, shit. Tough room. Fuck it.
No. We were with you. We heard got you. Absolutely. You're right.
But Miss TT Jan, thank you so much. Miss TT Jan, we appreciate you as always. Thank you for coming on here and dropping gems.
Yeah, I love you.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, thank you so much.
Bye, Jan.
Lauren,
Jan had got heated.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Guys, we know today's show was a lot, but I think it's just reflecting everything that we're all kind of carrying. TT Jan just said something. If you're going to do something, do it with your whole heart. Flame, I'm not going to tell your business because you told a little bit of it, but I just want to say, and I hope that this is where this is why I constantly have hope, because I'm so excited about the opportunity that one of your children may have, and it lets me know that there's a whole world out there that this young promise and talent can literally be that beacon of change. So those are the times when you have to sit back and say, you know what, there is a light somewhere in all of this darkness right now.
And I'll just say this, Lori's about to step out and Lauren's about to step in. We're not going to say nothing about that. So Flame, let's just say thank you and let that go. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
But I want to do it for bragging rights. I
know you do. We're not doing that yet. We gotta sign some paper. We gotta sign some paperwork first. We gotta sign some documents first. So we're not gonna say nothing.
Before we go anywhere, Flame, what do you got coming up?
Oh, I'm going to see the pageant tonight. We're supporting Fantasia for Miss Glamorous. It's only in about like an hour and a half. I'm gonna take a shower and get spruced up. I'm gonna see y'all a picture of the outfit later. Other than that, listen, we're gonna try to do wherever we work out with another show, but y'all call it in, hit Lauren up at HeSheWeBookings@gmail, because we taking them as they come, respectfully.
Respectfully is the word.
Respectful is the word today. We give you 5 on that one. Well, thank everybody. I want to thank everybody for listening at home or on the go. And I want to remind you that if you like something you heard today, to definitely comment and like and share it, because it helps others to find, laugh, and learn. And at the end of the day, we say this all the time, but it really is true. We are not trying to get anybody to change their mind.
We are simply just trying to get you guys to use your mind,